All clear? We're all good? Okay, so we're basically just going to start with introduce yourself, and then we'll get into the questions about the product. Okay? Okay. And once again, camera's your friend. What I always tell people is if you're making a strong point, look at the camera, not me. Okay? So, introduce yourself and your product.
Introduce yourself. I'm Mustafa Mohammed, and I'm a third year software engineer at Minderva.
And what are you developing?
So right now we're working on a social Q&A app that's supposed to help students develop a better understanding in the classroom because a lot of the way that we discuss today is over social media networks like Facebook, Twitter, WhatsApp. We want to take all that communication that's social and make it educational.
Very nice. Now you brought up WhatsApp, and I don't always think of that as the social one because it's kind of like that one-to-one. In this particular case, is this something that the rest of the students would be able to engage in that Q&A, or is it more of that one-on-one relationship where you're building small little niches of Q&As?
The way we have it is definitely class-wide. So one class has an open forum.
So, should I start talking about the app?
Yeah, go for it.
So the app is, all students can use it. So the first thing you would do is you put in your Mac ID and your password. Then using the McMaster API, we can figure out what courses you have during that term. Then you pick the course in the next screen. And then after you pick the course, you can see a live feed of all the questions and all the answers that have been posted already. And we will have a menu button. And in the menu button, there will be three options. One would be to ask a question. Another one would be to answer a question. And the third one would be to rate the professor or the class.
Now, would the professor be able to see these Q&As, or is this something for students only?
The professor would definitely be involved, especially because they might have the best knowledge for answering the questions, and also because we want to incorporate the idea of professor feedback. We spoke to Kevin Brown, who is a professor, and he said that this is a great way of engaging how active the students were and how much they knew by looking at the information that was available in the classes sessions. So
now, is this something that, let's say a class is something that happens every semester or every year, is this something that would reset itself in a new term, or is this something that you would have some form of carryover of past Q&As?
No, every time a class would start, everything would be
fresh
reset.
cycle.
It'll be a subscription model, so it's per term, right? The professor will make a student pay for the app, which would be really cheap for a student. It would be like $1 or $2, and then.
So it's more of a token payment, just.
Yes, and the good thing about it is that professors look for innovative ways to find a way to see who's participating during class. They use clickers, they use all kinds of stuff, but clickers, they have to make questions. With this app, it's much more easier because they don't do anything. The students post the questions, and then others post the answers, and then the other students that see the answers can rate. Once you double click on the answer, you're voting for that answer. It means you think that answer is correct and it's good.
Is this something that would be happening in real time during the class, or is this something that you see happening after the class?
I think one of the great things about that app is that it can be used in real time. So let's say the professor's in the middle of a lecture and he goes by a point that you don't understand. You can easily go into the app in class, because a lot of students do it anyways. They go on Facebook. This is supposed to detract from Facebook. They can go on, because when you don't understand, what are you going to do? You're going to get distracted.
Exactly.
This app, what you can do is quickly post the question. Hopefully another student will answer it right away, and you can continue on with the lecture. So it can be real time. And at the same time, it can also be used alternatively outside of the classroom. Let's say you're at home and you have the same problem where you're stuck on a problem and you don't know what to do. Just throw up the question real quick and have another student answer.
I liked your point there where you're saying that by giving them an opportunity to stay engaged, it's not just engage in the sense of having people answer questions, but it's making sure that because they may not understand what's being talked about, now all of a sudden they got the understanding and they're still on the train, as opposed to, oh, I don't get it, I'll read the book when I go home at night and maybe figure it out then. It's keeping them still in the conversation.
Exactly.
And most of the students are too shy to raise their hand and ask questions. There's some students, or a very small percentage, who raise their hand right away as soon as they don't get what's being talked about. But the majority of people would just be like you said, they go home and read the textbook, but that never happens either.
Well, I would suspect also in the first year, maybe the second year, the shyness factor is probably a lot higher. The classroom sizes, I'm guessing, are probably much larger as well in the early years. So as the classrooms get smaller, you might have that organic in-person Q&A that might not be there in a classroom of 100+ people.
But one thing that we confirmed through market research was that a lot of students do have anxiety when it comes to talking, even if it is a small more anxious for them because you become so familiar with people. You're afraid that the question that you ask may not be intelligent. Like, what if I'm asking a stupid question? Then we also have an option, or we're working to develop an option where you can ask a question anonymously if you are embarrassed and you think it's a stupid option.
So you would still be registered in the class, it would show up in your list, but you would be hidden as the person that actually
To
physically
the
asked
class,
it.
the professor could see the person, but then the students would have like that sense of privacy towards their education.
When you think about monetization, obviously you brought up the point that a minimal fee just to get them involved. Do you have other areas, because this potentially could scale to other classes, to other universities or colleges and so forth. Is the monetization structure that you have in place enough to sustain the amount of development effort in place?
So the primary revenue stream that we thought of was obviously having to download the app and paying for it. And it's a really minimal cost compared to tuition, textbooks, everything. Another $1, like, it's easily absorbed.
It's the
into cost.
99-cent concept.
Exactly. And then what we also wanted to do as an alternative revenue stream was to have scholarly links linked to the bottom so that the university, because you don't want something that's, if the university is collaborating with this app, they're not going to want to tarnish their image by linking to something like Yahoo Answers. You're going to want scholar.google.com. So we're going to hopefully develop the ability to place links to alternative websites that are scholarly approved, such as, I don't know if you guys are aware of it, but academic articles such as JSTOR, Google Scholar, there's so many different things that are specific to the class. If we have external links to these websites, we'd be definitely obtaining revenue through that.
That's a very good point, because obviously, I don't know much about school anymore. I've been far out of it. I did not know about Google Scholar, so I've just learned something right there.
It's a great website.
And it's not Wikipedia, to your point.
Exactly.
You're doing this, you're all undergrad students that you're
We
saying.
are, yes.
You have a team size of how many?
I believe it's 4 of us.
Four.
Yeah, 4.
You've never done something like this before. This started literally last night. You're past the midway mark. What are some of your biggest takeaways from this experience?
You definitely have to go all in. It's definitely a bit of a shock. I just think everything's snowballing. It's definitely just a roller coaster ride, but it's good.
It's really speedy. Like, one person's going to make videos, one person's still working on the app. The app's not out there yet, but we're asking people about the app, right? Pretending that the app's already out there. How would they use it? And the app is actually being developed by someone else right here. So, like, you really have to split it between the people that you have and work efficiently. You can't stop, because there's just so much to do. Once you're done one thing, there's more to do.
And that's the benefit of having such a small team, is that we can coordinate and communicate so efficiently that I think we got more done than the larger teams, because there's a sense of, like, there's a lot more discussion, there's a lot more arguments and, like, possession of ideas. So I feel like we were a lot more organic in creating everything.
And once again, there's something to be said about those small, little, dedicated, focused teams. But I really like your idea that you're acting as if the product already exists to get that feedback, as opposed to the old model, which would be build it and hopefully someone uses
Go
it.
show the app instead of talk about it.
So reintroduce yourself.
So my name is Anu Tour. I am a graduate. I'm graduating 4th year commerce student.
Go Commerce.
I am Mustafa Mohammed, 3rd year engineering, software engineering at McMaster.
Go software engineering. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to stop that.